Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we are going back to the beginner's level and we are going to understand how to really get started with investing. In episode 4, we already established that the only way to get wealthy is to invest. And in episode 5, I introduced the stock market to you guys. In episode 6, we looked at the different types of investors, and in this episode, we are going to continue the series and we will be covering like how you can make money from the stock market and the various risks involved. So let's hit it out. There are two main ways you can make money from the stock market. Firstly, through capital gains, and secondly, through dividends. There are other ways as well, such as premiums from underwriting stock options, but that is limited to the US market, so I'm not going to cover that here. If you're new to this world, then capital gains is exactly the way you think that money is made on the stock market. It works on the principle of buying low and selling high. And basically, if you buy a share at $10 and it rises up to $15 and you make a decision to sell it, then you have made a capital gain of 50%. For dividends, however, you don't really have to sell your positions to make some money. The companies that choose to pay a dividend are just giving a part of its profit to its shareholders. And when you invest into a company, you're a part owner, a shareholder of the company. This dividend range about 2 to 3% of the investments you make, depending on the company you're investing in. It can be as low as 1% or even can go up to like 10-12% in relation to the share price. How much dividends a company would pay is actually decided by the head of the companies, the board of directors. Every year, every quarter, they will come up together and then they will decide, oh, we want to pay out this much amount of dividends, and it depends on how the business performed. So if the business has grown, then surely your dividends would grow as well. And you will receive these dividend payments through your brokerage account. Once you have received the money, you can either choose to withdraw and spend it, or you can choose to reinvest the money into the same company or any other company, and that would help you to compound your investments. Something to consider is that the money you make from either capital gain or dividends are taxed differently. For Singaporeans, there's no capital gain or dividend tax, as I've mentioned a lot of time, but that is not the complete truth. As a Singaporean, if you're investing into a US company, a US domicile company, then you're still subjected to 30% tax on the dividends by the US government. Likewise, it's 10% for China, 15% for India and Japan. Hong Kong and Singapore companies have zero dividend tax for Singaporeans, so that is one of the reasons that almost all my portfolio is Hong Kong or Singapore companies. If you want to know the dividend tax for any other specific country, then you can just find out the double tax treaty in between your country and the country you are trying to invest in. For Singaporeans, I will leave the list of the treaties down in the description below if you're interested to find out. Now, before we start investing, it's really important that we understand what we are getting into. So I want to cover this basic topic called the risk. All investments carry risk, and the stock market does as well. I'm sure you would have heard about some people losing all their money in the stock market and some people becoming millionaires within a year or two just by investing into the stocks. It might seem like a complete gamble, like if you buy a right company, then you win a lot, and if you get into a wrong company, then you lose everything. However, it's not really like that. In fact, investing in the stock market for a long term is safer than leaving your money in the bank. Why? This is because of inflation. Inflation is the rise in the prices of goods and services over time. A cup of coffee doesn't cost the same as it used to 10 years ago. A taxi ride doesn't cost the same. In other terms, the value of money or currency is dropping every year. The average inflation rate in Singapore for past 20 years is 1.57%, and the interest rate that you get on your savings account is about 0.4 to 0.5%, which is pathetic. Anyways, if you would have left $1,000 in a savings account in the year 2000 and forgot about it, today it would be worth $806, and that's including the interest you would have received on the money. If risk is the possibility of something bad happening, then leaving your money in the bank account is 100% risky. Same goes when you put your money into the stock market. There are risks involved. However, the risk is not 100%. If you see this long-term chart of S&P 500, you'll see that even though there are huge dips in the short term, like during the financial crisis in 08, then the dot-com bubble in 2000, and then the recent pandemic as well, there were huge drops, but the market eventually recovers and goes up. So in the long term, you will make a profit on your investments. However, to explore deeper, we can split the risk involved in the stock market into two different types. One is systematic risk and the other one is unsystematic risk. Systematic risks are the risks that are inherent to the entire market. They are not predictable and you can't avoid it unless you just don't invest and keep your money in cash. However, when the shit goes down, even cash is not safe because the inflation rate will skyrocket. Like in the financial crisis, Singapore's inflation rate rose up to 6.63%. Unsystematic risk, on the other hand, is a risk that is specific to an industry or a company. For example, Chinese companies stand a risk to be delisted from the US exchange. For aviation industry, their one mistake with a plane can leave them crippled, something like what happened with Boeing. Even for specific companies, for example Tesla, people are invested into Tesla because of Elon Musk, and if something might happen to Elon Musk, touch wood, the stock might take a plunge, and this particular risk doesn't exist with NIO. But anyways, these unsystematic risks are avoidable. We can just invest into a bunch of companies that are not correlated to each other through something called ETF. ETF are like a bag with a lot of companies. One such is the Vanguard Total Market Fund, VTI for short. VTI tracks the total investment returns of the overall stock market. For Singapore, we have the Nikko AM STI. So this tracks the largest 30 companies of Singapore. Buying a bunch of companies will just leave you exposed to this systematic risk. To mitigate the systematic risk, all we can do is to just invest long term. Buying ETF, dollar cost averaging, and investing for a long term will not just help you to mitigate the risk of recessions, but also take advantage of it by forcing you to buy when everybody else is scared and the prices are low. Honestly, this is the best strategy for most of us, hands down. However, if you are someone like me who wants to expose himself to unsystematic risk for whatever reason, then the only choice we have is to do it intelligently. And how can we do it intelligently? By gaining knowledge on how to do it. This knowledge is to understand the company, to understand its fundamentals, its financials, and its competitive advantage. In the end, to come up with a solid investment story. Even after all these efforts, things might not go as we planned it to go. And we must be ready to sell our position if the story changes. That's all for today's episode. In the next one, we'll continue this series and look into things like how to choose a brokerage, how to open an account, and the various investment products that are available to you in the stock market. So like always, if you're interested, just subscribe and stay tuned until the next episode. Ciao.